What's up, everybody? It's your boy Silver TV. Hey, I want to ask y'all a question. Like, me and OG Nitty, we was filming doing a podcast the other night, and we did a whole podcast in complete silence. I mean, wasn't no noise. The noise we heard sounded like somebody was banging on something. I don't know if they put pictures of a nailing on something, right? Right, that's the only noise we heard, right? But once we finished the podcast, we replayed the video to check it out. And once we replayed it, we hear screaming in the video. And like, I'm not crazy, my man not crazy, you know what I'm talking about? I know what I heard, you know what I mean? I know one no sounds when we was making the video, but when we after the video was recorded and we rewatched it, then you hear somebody screaming, a lady screaming in the video. I don't know. Nitty, what's up, baby? Talk to me.
Hey man, look here. I want everybody to watch this to please listen out for these screams, right? And see if y'all heard the same thing. Because to me, if it was just one of us and we were just high or something with this what was high, we'd have brushed it off as, man, look, you probably just high as shit, this and that. But this is something that we heard at the same time. And on top of that, while we was filming, as Silver Wolf said, no screams, everything was complete silence. But when we did the playback, you know, doing the editing, you hear these screams. And it has puzzled us ever since. Now, me personally, I kind of believe in stuff like that because some things are just unexplainable. And I believe that that's kind of one of the only things that can fall into that category of being able to explain things like that. But it's something that's been on my mind ever since this took place, because the banking was happening, but it wasn't really, there was nobody there. We didn't know if it was the wall, the doors, or whatever. But what this really freaked me out was that the screams. Now, I'm not sure, but, and I haven't really talked about it, so that's why I haven't been on the air as much lately, because for some of you might not know, my son mother just passed. So it sent all kind of, you know, things into my mind and wondering, you know, what was going on. So we would love to hear your comments and tell us, what do you think? You know, you can make sure you don't think it's a hoax or anything like that. Hey, run it up the flagpole, let us know what you think. But this is something we would really like to hear your comments on, because we can't figure it out. And we don't know if we have been just experiencing something paranormal. So get back to us. Next time, peace.
Silver Wolf TV, y'all. Nitty, what's going on, baby? Been a while. We did a long time since we did a prison story and stuff. Before we get into what I want to ask you and stuff, you got anything you want, any good ones you want to tell me about before we get started?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is, because, you know, one I was thinking about today, and it came to me to think about this due to me watching also today a documentary on war, right? It was on the war between Ukraine and Russia. So, and many of the things that I've seen, the strategies and things of that nature, it was, I seen it in prison wars and things like that. One particular one comes to mind, and how things can go from 0 to 1,000 like that in there. And I'm talking about wars. One sticks out in my mind. It actually turned into a 3-way war, and it lasted for about, man, I guess about 4, maybe 5 years, right? And it was a guy that was from up Park Heights. Him and one of the Bloods, one of the younger Bloods, they had words for whatever reason. I don't know. I really can't even remember. It's been so long ago. But this turned into the little blood kid going back saying, the little homie go back saying that the dude had disrespected him, telling another homie this, saying that he had disrespected him. So they come up there, no rap, because the dudes was in the kitchen by this time. Come no rap, run straight up on yo, right, start putting hands on him. So of course, his walking buddy is dead. And he's also from Park Heights, but he's BGF. So when this takes place, he sits in the joint and he jumps in it, which of course made two other members of BGF jump in it as well, right? So by the time the word gets back to the Bloods, what had just happened, right? The story turns into about 4 or 5 J dudes just banked to Bloods. This in turn, when it gets word, basically one of the higher ranking BGF members is the laundryman on the tier. He's sitting out on the tier. He don't even know what's done happened yet, right? Two Bloods already get word. They come straight out there, stab him up. This turns into a full-fledged war that not only went throughout the system, but actually went into the streets. So I just find it amazing because this was what we call in prison on site. On site means that, for anyone who might not know or understand, on site means that wherever you see the enemy, you go at him right then and there, ain't no excuses, ain't no nothing. And if you don't, then you already know you just became the enemy. And that's how wars go in there. So it was to the point that they had to segregate us. And like we had to do stuff, because they had us locked down for probably about a year and a half. They had us locked down. So it wasn't really, you couldn't get around, anybody at a time, but any opportunity, any slip, something definitely happened. So they had to call in what they call the green team here in Baltimore. In Maryland, our prison system. The green team is just for force, nothing else. It is for bringing things back into compliance. They're normally really big and they use a lot of the weapons, and they for the whole prison system. And they rise around in these vans, maybe, sometimes 2 and 3 vans deep, and all of them in there, and they come in there. So like, when they come in, they take control of that jail. They run the jail now, right? So what they do, so when they had to start giving us showers, they had, when they come to your door, they open up the door, and before they even come in there, they tell you to face the wall. Now, mind you, you have the one of them is going to be, well, first let me tell you, but the first one before him, right? The first one before him is going to have this kind of gun, and it's like a pellet gun, but instead of pellets, it has glass bullets in it, right? That the glass is kind of thin, and the glass is filled, the bullets are filled with mace, right? So when the glass cuts your skin, it also burns you, right? So behind him is somebody holding a 12 gauge that is shooting rubber bullets, right? So when they come to your cell, they're gonna be probably about 3 deep. So the one that's not pointing a gun at you at the time is gonna come there and tell you to face the wall. You hand everything over your right shoulder. Any sign of aggression, any sudden movements, anything like that, is going to be taken as a sign of aggression. Sign of aggression means also they got these metal wands, these metal batons that flip out, right? Signs of aggression mean if you turn and like, well, hold up this and that, yes, if he don't hit you with the wand, he's gonna get to the side, and the other two is gonna start shooting you right then and there until you fall into submission, right? So this is how this goes, and so it get to the point where when we went to go take showers and things like that, you're coming out with your handcuff behind your back. One is on one arm, holding on to the arm, the other one is on the other arm. It's one walking behind you with the 12 gauge. We have single showers, and the particular prison I'm talking about is up in Cumberland, Maryland. It's called North Branch. So you have, it's 8 showers, but North Branch is an Ultramax. So you goes in, you go in the single shower, you're locked in there, right? They stand outside the shower while you take a shower. If at any point you refuse to come out or something like that, they got these kind of grills up at the showers. No, you don't have no privacy, right? It's these kind of grills at the shower, and they spray you with these kind of, if anybody watch, these nature shows and things of that nature, what they call bear mace, right? They keep them in a holster, and they spray you with the bear mace while you're in there, and they'll make sure they tell them, because they control the water. So they'll tell one officer to get the key, turn the water off. So you can't even be in there trying to get the mace out your eyes or anything, right? Once they do that, they will suit up with even more equipment, right? And they have what they call these shock shields, right? Shock shields is, it looked like you might see the police what they use during the riots and stuff like that. However, these are shock shields. So what happens is, anywhere between 6 to 8 of them will open up the door and charge you, right, with the shock shield. They'll push each other in there, right, charge you to pin you down and shock you until you give up, right, shock you. Then they turn around and this and that. Once they have you in cuffs, they'll take you back there to what they call the strip cage. The strip cage is mainly to humiliate you, right? Because if you don't strip, they'll mace you. Again, because they put you in this little cage that's, again, all grills. There's no glass or anything up like that that will shield you from the mace. So what they'll do is, they'll spray you with that until you take your clothes off and hand it out the slot. And this is before anybody try to get you any sort of medical attention that you can actually get the mace out your eyes. You had to be doing this basically in the blind. This is the things that they do North Branch. So back to, like I said, a lot of the gang wars and things like that, back to the war between the Bloods and BGF, it's like you have dudes in there that know how to slip out the cuffs. And police sometimes, they get lazy. A whole lot of times they get lazy. And they get to thinking, well, ain't nothing happened in a week or two, so maybe they're letting the situation go. No. And what happens is they start to get lax. And from that, they'll turn around, somebody will slip the cuffs, and the next thing you know, the other guy is left to this guy's slaughter. Because he would sit up there and slip the cuffs, pull his knife out, and imagine somebody has pinned you to the ground and they're stabbing you everywhere they possibly can while you got on handcuffs behind your back. This happens a lot in prison. So these are just some of the things that I trip, because I see how easy wars are started, but I also say, wow, a lot of times I learned through war is that the worst one is that one that you don't know how to end. right? Because like you have people fighting, and once you don't have a cause, the war is pretty much over with, right? But you have people who will fight still on because they believe in the nation, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, I look at these kind of wars and think like, this is what's going on. I done been, like I said, I done been through a few of them in my time. Like, you have to also think about this, visits. Once they started visits back up, wow. Because war is war, and on site means on site. So somebody might decide to come in the visit room while you're already in there and say, you know what, I really don't want to see the person who comes to see me anyway. And just run over there and pop you right there in the visit room. Or some of us go so hard they'll do something to your peoples, right there in the visit room. I mean, these are the type of things that I've seen in dealing with these wars, and I look at it now and I wonder about the war between Ukraine and Russia and say, okay, do they have an end to the war? Do they know how to end the war? Because I remember that I was one of the people when we had to come together. It was because it actually turned into Bloods versus another group too called Murder Inc. It was DC gang, right? DC PG County. So in that, I can remember we had to sit down, and what they did was they put us in these separate cages that was in almost like a circle, and they were like, well, I guess you call them cages. They more so like a cell, but it's a cage all the way around, right? So anyway, we have to sit down there and actually talk and say, hey, do we end this war? And when we came in there, how they did it was they brought the Bloods in there first. They brought me in there, and they allowed us one enforcer, right? But he also had to stay in a cage. The enforcers are there in case somebody decides they want to slip the cups. Because of course, when you pick an enforcer, you have to also pick somebody who knows how to slip the cups, right? To keep everybody honest. So when we went in the joint, and so much bloodshed had been by the time that we even considered trying to end it now. And it wasn't easy because, you know, as men and guys in prison and things of that nature, and I can't speak for females because I'm not a female, so I won't dare, you know, take that privilege away from them. However, it's like you don't want this person to be up, not one person. You don't want him to be up, not one soldier, not one big homie, no, nothing. And that's one of the hard parts about in prison is the prison politics. Because you say, hey, well, such and such got killed down in this jail during this war. And we didn't kill nobody in that jail. And you know, it's of course some of them not gonna sit down and say, well, man, yeah, go ahead and kill one of them, man, so we can. No, not good leaders anyway, right? And they sit down there, but it's so crazy how this stuff breaks out because that quick, you could be in a cell with somebody who's in a different game. Now it don't happen too often now since things like that happen. They kind of keep you with your own now. However, it's like, imagine a war breaks out and you got this guy in this gang, this guy in this gang, but they're cell buddies. They cool. Do they A, follow the order when they come down, or 2, have 2 gangs against them. Not just 2 other people, 2 whole gangs against them, who now has sent down the word they're also on site. You know, it's like I said, so it becomes hard to end, you know, wars like that. But I always look at stuff like this and I say, wow, I have heard bits and pieces of what took place in concerning this war, but I'm like, what was it really about? How did it really start? You know, what are people being told? What aren't they being told, rather? But until next time, we're going to pick up on this again. Peace.
So Wolf TV, y'all, thanks for watching. Remember, hit the subscribe button, like the channel, share the video. God bless.